Hello, my name is Mia Zamora. I am a clarinet teacher in the Dallas area, and today I'm going to be going over Region 24 Middle School Lyrical Etude. So I have a video of the technical, so go watch that if you want some tips and tricks on that. But I'm just really, with the lyrical today, we're just going to do a bunch of counting because I think that's probably the hardest part. That's where I hear the most mistakes. The notes are pretty okay. It's the rhythm. There's a couple tricky notes, but mainly rhythm. Okay, so first things first, we're in 3/4. However, I'm going to suggest that you should really feel it in the 8th note. Yeah, so just take that tempo, performance tempo 48, you just double it, right? Whatever tempo you're going, just double it, so that would be 96. And then perform it at that, okay? And that's just going to ensure that you're going to be super, super accurate. 48 is quite slow, and it's going to be difficult to feel a subdivision. So if you feel it at 96, it'll be much easier, okay? So I'm actually going to go, instead of 96, I'm going to go 72, a working tempo, right? Okay? And I'm going to start counting. I guess I'll start counting in the beginning just so it's clear how to count in 6 with a very simple rhythm. And then I'm going to keep going, I think just till measure 4. Measure 2 into measure 3 is where it gets challenging, and the fingerings here are difficult too. We'll talk about that in just a second. But let's count it first. But the good news is those 2 bars cover a majority of the etude. All right, that tie, actually both ties are a little bit hard in 2 and 3. So let's get counting. So from the beginning. And ready. 1, 3, 5, 1, 2. Tay 6, tay 1. Tay 4, tay 5, tay 6, tay 1. All right, so that is how you would count that. I think that maybe we should talk about that transition 2 into 3. The hardest part, I think, is the B flat to D, and then coming in measure 3 back down to B flat, right? So we have thumb register 1, 2 side key for B flat. Make sure you're not playing B natural. It's B flat all the way up to D, which is 2, 3, 4. If you think about it, if you have this right pointer finger, finger number 4, positioned correctly, you can just theoretically easily reach for the D key, okay, on the right hand as we're switching to D. So if I were you, maybe I would go back and forth. And then you start practicing in time, right? Okay. So do practice that transition. Probably you're not having any trouble with, let's say, this D to G or G to B flat. This finger can be late sometimes. But just practice the part that's hard for you, right? A lot of times I hear people, oh, let me go back to the beginning. No, don't go back to the beginning. Just practice those 2 notes. That's where the problem is. Good. Keep going, keep going. Measure 6. Measure 6 is a dotted 8th rhythm that also appears several times in the etude. And yeah, let's do it. Measure 6. Ready, go. 1, tay 3, 4, 5, 6. A lot of times where I hear the mistake actually is not in the dotted rhythm, but in the 8th notes, because you're thinking really hard about the dotted rhythm, and then suddenly you're playing 8th notes too fast. So it's going to feel quite slow. So be careful there. Let's see, where does that also appear? Measure 8, measure 9. Measure 13, it appears in the Piu Mosso section as well, in, what does that say, 16. While we're down there in the Piu Mosso, this is where the rhythm starts to ramp up the challenge, right? It's also faster. Piu Mosso means a little bit faster. I would go 8 to 10 clicks faster, just like it suggests. Again, it's not that fast, so I would feel it in the 8th note still. okay? Plus, this has a lot of different subdivisions. Don't feel it in the quarter note. You'll have a higher chance of making a mistake, okay? So where should we start counting? Look at 16. Again, it's a combination of things that we've done in measure 3 and measure 6. So go back and listen to how we counted them and try to figure that out on your own, okay? I'm not going to count that one because I want you to try and do it yourself. Measure 17, though, that's challenging. So is that our first? I don't think I'm lying there. That's our first set of 30-second notes. Look very carefully. Those are not 16th notes. They are 30-second notes, okay? The dotted rhythm, after that is not a dotted 8th note, it's a dotted 16th. Be careful, be careful. Here, if I were you, I would write out the counts. Why not? Or draw a line where you're going to hear a click over the note. That's a great method too. So let's go ahead. Shall we count it? And ready, go. 1 t ta 2 t ta 3 4 to 5 6 ta 1. That's a lot going on in that measure. Rewind that if you need to and just re-listen to it. Okay, so we're going along good here. I don't know, should we count 18? Maybe. Let's go ahead and count it. It's a similar rhythm to stuff we've had already, but maybe it's different enough with the grace notes that it's confusing. We'll put our grace notes in a second, but let's count it first. 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Not hard, just don't overthink it, okay? Then let's skip to our triplets in 20. Remember to count a triplet? We say lolly. It's a very round feeling. And if I were you in measure 19, I would start thinking of what a triplet sounds like as you're playing a quarter note, okay? That's going to help you prepare for the next measure. So if I'm counting measure 20, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 5 lolly, 6 lolly, 1, okay? While we're here in 20, I would like to go ahead and talk about a certain fingering that you can use. I don't know if I mentioned it in the technical etude video or not. This fingering is good, it's really great. This is exactly why we want to use it, F to B flat, specifically, that's what I'm looking. So look at your music, note 1, 2, 3, 4, note number 4, it's the second grouping of triplets, F to B flat. We can use a special fingering for B flat. So, we know F, right? Thumb, register, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is F. For B flat, it's called 1 and 1, 1 and 1. You lift up fingers 2 and 3, that's B flat. So you check on your own right now. So here's our normal B flat. 1 and 1. Okay, so if I'm doing that triplet, it suddenly becomes a lot easier than trying to move this hand really, really fast. You don't have to use it, but I just want everyone to be aware it's an option. Here's why I don't like it. If your bridge key, let's see if I can get a good image. This key right here, if it is not aligned properly, the note's not going to come out. It has nothing to do with you if it's squeaking or whatever. It's probably the instrument. It's not sealing correctly. What do I mean by that? Let me see if I can unalign my instrument first. Well, that didn't work. Maybe this way. Okay, this is like severely out of joint, right? So look, when I'm pressing the right hand keys, this pad is also going down in the upper joint. Okay, zoom in here. If I press down my right hand to do my 1 and 1, this pad doesn't seal, it will not come out, okay? Now if I align the instrument, so now I'm pressing my 1 key for my 1 and 1, this pad will seal, okay? So remember, even if you're pressing this down, it doesn't control this pad, right? It's the right hand that actually controls the upper joint. That kind of blew my mind when I realized that. So, if you're twisting your clarinet and this pad just isn't going down, don't use the 1 and 1 fingering. Please don't use it. Just use normal B flat. I'm just letting you know because it is easier to use 1 and 1 there. But if your clarinet just doesn't want to do it, then don't worry about it. Do just regular. Okay. Last thing to say, is the grace notes, right? Should we do the weird one first? Should we do 18? Let's do 18. So when you're working grace notes, you should always play the actual rhythm first. So I'm gonna do that. Remember, the rhythm is 1, 2, 3. We're just isolating, okay? Easy enough. Now we're gonna put in our grace note and make sure we land on the click correctly, okay? You need to land on the next D on the click, okay? It happens really fast. They're not in time. They need to happen before the beat. So, all right, that's that whole figure with the 16th notes. Let's go back further. You want to hear maybe measure 9? Sure, measure 9. So when I'm having my students first attempt this, just try the grace note, right? Doesn't even need, just turn met off, just try it. Okay, great, we attempted it. Now we remember our rhythm. This is important that we start on count number 4, which is D, so that we're practicing the note before the grace note and the note after the grace note. So this would just be 4, 5. Okay, so click, bria, click. Click, grace, click. Okay, and then the last one, measure 4, right? Yes. Oh, maybe this one's a little bit weird because it's starting on A and landing on A. So count very carefully here. Count very carefully. Make sure you hold A for 2 clicks before you do the grace note. Okay? So example. 1, 2, beta 3. Again. Great. As far as dynamics, almost every single dynamic is written in, so I would just do it. Yeah, everything is good. I personally think that not every crescendo and decrescendo is the same. Some are bigger, some are smaller. Find for yourself what you think the high point of the piece is, and that's going to be maybe your biggest moment. So in the beginning, measure 1, we have a crescendo, but I don't really think that's a time to go to forte, okay? Maybe you just go to mezzo piano. I don't know. You experiment with it. If you really think it needs to get loud, then go for it. But I just think, why I'm saying not to do that is because I think it's too exciting. There's nothing to look forward to if you are playing forte already in measure 2. It's too much. Nothing's even happening. You just played quarter notes. We're not even to the tumultuous 16ths triplet stuff. So hold back, let the excitement come later, okay? And experiment with that thought. Maybe not every forte, right, is the same. The one in measure 4 versus the one in measure 6. Maybe they're a little different. Think about that and see what you can do with that. I hope this helps at least a little bit. And now I am going to play Lyrical Etude at like a practice tempo.